So let's talk about the possibility that there might be a new edition of Kill Team coming this year, and what it could mean for model releases going forward. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics, where today I thought I might just share a few thoughts as to a potential new edition of Kill Team coming, something that's been discussed really quite a lot by the community, and I thought it could be interesting to just take a quick look as to how Games Workshop's treated some of their specialist games, and what clues we could get by their previous release cycles. I will be coming at this mainly from a Warhammer 40k collecting standpoint, as opposed to talking about Kill Team rules, as that's what I know, though I do look forward to any insights or clarifications from actual Kill Team players down in the comments. Kill Team has had a fair few forms in Warhammer 40k over the past many years, and it's definitely had times where it's waxed and waned in terms of support, often having years going by without really much happening for it. But the more modern era of Kill Team kits started with a bit of a bang in August 2021, Games Workshop really deciding to committing to supporting it as a pretty regularly updated skirmish game with lots of content still coming, and just decided to make it into a far bigger and more central deal than they had before. They decided to launch it with one of their big animated reveal trailers. It was Orc Commandos versus Death Corps of Krieg, and I did think that was really quite a fun animation, and a pretty fun little bit of footage. And then with that announcement, they basically said that Kill Team was going to be a lot better supported, having things like regular balance checks and updates, regular rules updates, and perhaps most importantly, regular model releases with new kits coming out quarterly, and they haven't really disappointed on that front. For the whole Kill Team release cycle since then, it's basically been two broad patterns. It seems that each year they decide to shake up the format of Kill Team a little bit and have a different sort of season with different sort of terrain and war zones to fight on. The first one was maybe a bit more around more standard Warhammer 40k battlefield terrain. Then they had the one in the Gallo Dark and the boarding action style terrain, the twisted and enclosed corridors of a Space Hulk. And now in the latest season, the one that started 2023 and is ongoing now, they have the sort of water rig style terrain. Kill Team's fighting over their aquatic world setting of Beta Decima. Within those yearly seasons, it looks like the main offering is to have basically 4 big box releases per year, each of them adding 2 new factions to the Kill Team game, and coming with a greater or lesser amount of terrain. In the previous couple of seasons, there was quite a big heavy emphasis on the terrain, though in the Beta Decima aquatic one, they seem to have taken the other option and focused mainly on the actual Kill Team miniatures and have the terrain pieces as a bit of a side offering. Within those quarterly releases, it looks like they save up a big effort release for the first one out of each of them, having 2 new kits on either side. First up, it was Death Corps Krieg Veteran Guardsmen vs Orc Commandos. Then for the Gallo Dark ones, it was Navy Breachers vs Kroot Farstalkers as 2 new warbands. And then for Beta Decima, it was Eldari Striking Scorpions vs Space Marine Scouts, all of those being entirely new or entirely updated models on both sides of the team. Then for the 3 releases that make up the other 3 quarters of the Kill Team calendar each year, it's usually a new unit fighting off against a unit that's sort of an existing model kit with an upgrade sprue. So say we had things like the Tau Pathfinders with their boosted upgrade gear, the Chaos Legionaries with their Balefire Tome and Chain Cannon included, or the Drukhari Hand of the Archon. In general, I feel like they've done pretty well with these releases. It's been pretty cool to see some dedicated support for a whole bunch of fun kits, particularly things that are sort of niche things in the lore realised in a big way. Based on the kit releases that they have been doing, I'd certainly guess that Games Workshop will continue to support the setting well. They seem to have been doing these releases in a way where it's hard for them to really lose out in any way. With the big box releases that come out 4 times a year, it seems they're deciding to play this in a way where they just manufacture far too few of them, knowing that whatever they produce will be well within the realms of what people are going to buy up pretty much instantly on release day. So near enough guaranteed profit on them from Games Workshop's point of view, manufacture a bunch of kits and then instantly sell out, even if that way of doing things does leave loads of fans disappointed when they hype up a cool new box and then you can't buy it even if you wanted to. In general though, when the Kill Team releases do come out individually, they generally tend to be fairly popular sets. The Orc Commandos, Death Corps of Krieg, and Cadian Kazakin are all really quite popular kits as they go, and while I feel like some are a lot more popular than others potentially, most of the bespoke Kill Teamers tend to be really quite nice quality plastic kits for things that are kind of fun in the lore in one way or another, so I can't help but think that a fair few of them do kind of well in Games Workshop's point of view. Between that, seems kind of likely that Games Workshop's going to keep the current state of affairs going. Thanks to the big box sellouts, it seems that the Kill Team setting is easily going to be worth supporting in its current form. For 40k purposes, it has been really quite cool to see certain kits adding new things to the game or being redone properly. Perhaps a few fun highlights would be Eldari Corsairs, which are long part of the setting, though didn't have any actual representation in models. The Sisters of Battle Novitiates, I think, are quite a fun kit. Slightly scouty Sister of Battle and Training, armed with a bunch of fun relic weapons. And it was fun to see the Adeptus RBTs get some support in proper model form. I get a cool background thing from the 40k setting that maybe didn't make too much sense to be on most battlefields, but the Kill Team skirmishy sort of setting seemed very appropriate for them. I feel like the upgrade sprue ones have maybe been a bit more peripheral, and at least some of them not quite as interesting. The Phobos one did give infiltrators back a bit of war gear that they couldn't get outside of Monopo's Shadow Spear type box sets, I guess, but it felt like it was perhaps one of the lower yield ones, most of the other aesthetic upgrades not being desperately different from the way they were previously. The Drukhari Hand of the Archon again had a few fun details, but again not hugely divergent from the way that standard Kabalite warriors look, barring a few fun upgrades and melee weapons and things. And same for the Tau Pathfinders. I guess the most meaningful bit of war gear they added was an EMP grenade launcher. I suppose they did have some fun head alternatives as well. I feel like some of them have been a fair bit more impactful though. The Chaos Space Marine Legionary one went down quite well, adding some fun and useful new war gear to the squad, and some cool aesthetic upgrade parts too. Perhaps one of the very best received though has been the recent Night Lords one from Kill Team Nightmare. Interesting to see that the buzz around that box set was more for the Night Lords than the actual new kit in the Drukhari Mandrakes. It seems like one of the best things that Games Workshop can do with an upgrade sprue, adding a whole load of theme to a lesser represented but still very major faction within the lore. With pretty minimal investment as it goes from Games Workshop, it'd be really cool to see them do similar for several of the other sub-factions out there, things like other Chaos Legions and Fallen, Guard Regiments, maybe some Eldar Exodites at some point. I do enjoy the Kill Team releases, as you never really know exactly what's going to come next for them. The main reason that people are speculating about a new edition coming this year is as per Games Workshop's usual timescale calendars. For their major settings, 40k and Age of Sigmar, Games Workshop tends to work in 3-year cycles. For their major systems, they have a new edition of the game and a big release at each of these, and given the amount of support they're giving Kill Team, it seems at least fairly possible they could be considering Kill Team along those sort of same lines. They're keeping to the same sort of yearly season system that they've had going with Warhammer 40k. That one's been realised by chapter approved type things, where the Kill Team one has been new books and different terrain sets like the Gallo Dark and the Beta Decima stuff. For the Beta Decima releases, so far we've had 3 different releases in the box sets: Kill Team Salvation, Kill Team Nightmare, and Kill Team Termination. So I guess in theory that could mean that there'd be one more Kill Team box set coming for the Beta Decima aquatic kind of terrain. If they're trying to keep some sort of progressive narrative going, then there might be one more that details the fall of the planet and things, maybe in a similar sort of way to the Gallifore one potentially. I'm not sure if there's any chance they might have used their release window for another Kill Team box set on the Ashes of Faith one, which was an interesting sort of release that came out halfway between the Into the Dark style ones and the Beta Decima ones. That was an interesting bigger box set with the New Inquisition fighting a whole load of Chaos Cultists alongside some other cool Imperial agents. If I had to guess though, I'd probably suspect that there's one more coming for the aquatic world terrain before we move on to the next thing. In any case, there certainly will be a shake-up for Kill Team in one form or another coming this year. It's either going to be another season with a different setting for it, and that season might or might not come with a new edition launch. And it seems that the community thinking is that there probably will be one this year, though obviously it's not confirmed yet. If there were a new edition, it can always be a little bit of an apprehensive time for current collections of miniatures. I certainly feel with Games Workshop's more skirmish games, they don't have quite as big a tried and tested longevity for keeping models around. I feel like compared with the bigger settings like 40k in particular, there's at least a bit more chance of Games Workshop not supporting the game mode as a whole quite as well as they used to at any one point, and maybe a bit more chance for old content and teams and things that came out a long time ago to fall by the wayside at some point. As I mentioned, I'm not super well versed in Kill Team rules, but to my understanding, there's more bespoke Kill Teamers with the actual ones that have box sets for them, and those box sets allow them to make specialists and things with actual miniature representation, versus a whole bunch of other ones that are Compendium, White Dwarf, Annual and Community Kill Teams that are more making use of more generic Warhammer 40k models, and particularly helpful for the factions that don't have more bespoke kill teams yet, such as perhaps Tyranids. Unless they do some sort of very major shake-up and actually go about retiring some kits and things, I'd be kind of surprised if any of the bespoke kill teams got any sort of real lack of support in a new edition. but there's always a good chance that a bunch of the older compendium-style kill teams could be reinterpreted or fall by the wayside. I believe when the 2021 release came out, that did come with a bunch of the compendium teams not really quite gelling exactly with the teams that people had made before for the previous edition, redesigning rules a bit with having to take certain chunks of models as opposed to buying in individual models one by one. I guess their eventual aim might be to have at least one bespoke kill team box for every single faction in Warhammer 40k, plus a few more for various fun stuff like Navy Breaches and Exaction Squads and things, and maybe we'll see that a bit more to come. I'm kind of surprised that Tyranids haven't had a more bespoke kill team style release. With a big flexible box with a bunch of specialists, seem likely that they might be on the cards at some point in 10th edition given the big focus on them. One thing that prompted a fair bit of discussion amongst Kill Team players was the announcement that Games Workshop made as to Warcry, when Games Workshop announced that they were retiring a whole bunch of Stormcast Eternal type kits from the Age of Sigmar range, and in that announcement they said that a whole bunch of the Warcry warbands would be going away for the Age of Sigmar setting, though it really wasn't a very clear communication whatsoever. You could certainly read it in a couple of different ways, either that the kits were going away altogether as well, or it's just they wouldn't be supported in the Age of Sigmar setting by just a couple of chosen warbands. Looking back on this now, a couple of months on, it appears that these warbands weren't going out of production, given that the ones that are searched on the Games Workshop web store still seem to be on full sale. A few of them are marked temporarily out of stock, but not the sold out online that usually means that they're going away and not coming back. I've seen a few comments on Reddit and things that people seem to have observed some of them coming back into stock and then being pushed back into temporarily out of stock as people bought them out when miniatures that they'd been waiting for turned up. So unless I'm missing anything obvious, it looks like these guys will still be around for the Warcry setting at least, just not really playable in Age of Sigmar as much, as Games Workshop seem to have been shifting the focus of Mortal Followers of Chaos onto the Dark Oath warbands. I've got no idea if they'll have some sort of range rotation where they have a couple of these and they go out of production at some point in the future, but it looks like it hasn't happened yet at least. I guess the danger time for them might be if there's a new edition of Warcry and Games Workshop opts to do something similar to what they did with Age of Sigmar Stormcast Eternals, shrinking down the range a fair bit to focus on some new stuff. I guess it does show though that the Kill Team kits aren't 100% safe to always convert to 40k rules. I would say that most of them are kind of unlikely to be getting reinterpreted in a major way, particularly the ones that are really focused on current in-codex units, like say the Orc Commandos. The feel does feel a bit different with the relationship of Age of Sigmar to Warcry though. A lot of these bands were slightly quirky ones that worship chaos in their unspecial way, and maybe didn't feel 100% on theme with any one larger chaos faction in Age of Sigmar, so I guess you could argue that the relationship is a bit different. In any case though, if there is a new Kill Team release, it's likely going to be coming later this year sometime. People certainly noticed that Kill Team Termination and its release this weekend followed Nightmare perhaps surprisingly quickly. There was quite a long wait between Kill Team Salvation and Nightmare, but then a far lesser wait between Nightmare and Termination. Based on the previous Kill Team seasons, it started with Commandos and Orcs in August 21, then Into the Dark was August 22, though Kill Team Salvation didn't come along until December 23. Not sure of the reasoning for the delays on that, but it means that most likely if there is a new season or new edition, it's going to be sometime between August and December. Between those, I really wouldn't like to predict whether it's likely to be earlier or later. I guess if we've got one more aquatic box to come out, then it might imply that it could be a little bit later, unless they're just skipping it out and heading straight in for a whole new season or new edition. In terms of rumours for the new edition, I've seen a fair few places post rumours that there might be some jump pack themes kill teams. That might be a new thing that they try and add into the game for the next season, whether it's a new edition or not. Not sure how having models with quite such radically different movement would work against the current kill teams. Would be interesting to see how they handled that. But if so, that definitely could have some interesting model possibilities. Lots of different flavours of light or medium infantry that they could definitely explore and do some redos on. I could think of a whole load of 40k kits they could redo just off the top of my head for that. Things like Tyranid Gargoyles, Vespid Stingwings, Swooping Hawks or Warp Spiders for the Eldari, the Leagues of Votan jump pack units that almost certainly have to be coming based on the model they came out with in a previous kill team for them. Maybe even things like Space Marine Vanguard Veterans or Demon Furies. If so, then that would be kind of fun, would be an interesting avenue to go down, probably balanced out with some upgrade sprues to some existing jump infantry if they did. In any case, regardless of whether or not there's a new edition, I'm sure there'll be some interesting stuff coming for Kill Team. Always fun to see what sort of new things they come out with there, though I guess we'll have to wait and see whether or not it's truly a new edition or just a new season. In any case, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Does Kill Team need a new edition or a new season? Look forward to hearing any insights from actual Kill Team players, of course. And if you'd like to see more like this, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics. I'll certainly be keeping up the videos with Games Workshop's news and rumours. Finally, if you've been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page, and you can find that linked in the video description if you'd like to help support and keep all the videos coming. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.